This is the 1938 Fife Free Press from the year Flyers were formed. And here we have, in here, the very first feature on the opening of the rink in October 38, sorry. It shows the very first team, which also there are two legends who were on the Flyers 75. Les Lovell Senior, who was the very first coach, whose claim to fame was he helped finish building the ice rink, and Norman McQuaid, the very first goal scorer. Yeah, the Flyers 75 was an idea we had at the very start of the anniversary season. It's a landmark season, and I wanted to try and acknowledge that and recognise it. We've done a thing called the FP 100, which is the 100 greatest Fifers for the past 6 years. The 100 greatest sportsmen, 100 greatest singers, bands, even buildings, businesses. So it made, to me, simple sense, the greatest 75 players ties in with the 75th anniversary theme. So it took a bit longer than planned, I must admit. But we sat down, we got a basic list together. We got a few folk involved as well, because it wasn't just our list at the Fife Free Press. I could sit down and create 75 names, but so could 10 other fans, and none of them would be the exact same. So we got guys who've watched the hockey from the 70s, the 80s, through the 90s, through the modern era, who've all seen hockey at different times. And that gave us a collective long list, which ran to about 135, 140 names. And also, I was aware that we were missing a lot of the old-timers from the 60s, 70s, when hockey was not as high profile as it is now. And I was conscious a lot of these guys paid to play. You know, they did it for fun. And they're all integral parts of the club's history. So we got Chick Cottrell on board, and Chick was a mine of information. He was able to tell us, this guy played left wing, he was great. Now his contribution off the ice also, he gave us a perspective that we didn't actually have. That added more names to the list, which is the fun part. And then the hard part, of course, is how do you get 140 names at the 75? That's the real challenge. Yeah, there are some absolute gimmies. Yeah, guys, it's a no-brainer. You've got to have Gordon Latto, Stephen King. You've got to have Mark Morrison. You've got to have Pep Young, and guys like Chick Cottrell, who's done 30, 40 years at the rink. You know, player, coach, a very, very influential role in junior development. He's stepped into the breach so many times at Fife Flyers. His association is lifelong. And you've got all these kind of absolute, they're shoo-ins. And the question then is how you then define the players who've come, played 2-3 years, the guys who've gone away, come back again, as well as guys that have given 10, 15, 20 years service. So the top 10 really kind of wrote itself. We were all in agreement Pep Young was number one. And for all the right reasons. I know tragically he passed away last month. It'd been wonderful had Pep still been here. He'd been absolutely thrilled. But no matter who you speak to that rink, players, officials, volunteers, fans, every single person will recognise what he did for ice hockey. It went beyond his involvement in playing. He was a huge supporter, and his role in the 60s, 70s and 80s, without Pep Young, I question whether Fife Flyers would be where they are today. He is that instrumental to them. For my money, Mark Morrison, clearly top 10, one of the greatest coaches ever. He sparked an entire era. He took one era, which is the Plum era from 85, set a new benchmark in 2000 as Mark Morrison's Grand Slam. And someday something will come along next year, the year after that, and a new era will be defined. And that's part of the cyclical nature of sport. Again, top 10, Gordon Latto. You will not find a greater career. Show me any hockey player who gets a full house for his testimonial. That is a mark of the respect he's held in. Outstanding player. Shattered goal scoring records left, right and centre, converted to defence, and then went and scored probably one of the most important goals in the club's history when they played Ayr in the relegation decider. I mean, had Flyers gone down that year, who knows what would have happened. That goal, and it was one from the archives, as he often says himself, a rink length rush right down the ice, a game that was probably the most pressurised game you will ever see in your life. So again, no-brainer. Al Rogers, he was a Mark Morrison of the 40s, 3 times Coach of the Year, Grand Slam champion in the late 40s when Flyers were a remarkable force. Les Lovell Senior, again, he was the founder, the very first player coach, a man who helped finish building the rink, and who also laid a dynasty of one of the families who are now at the heart of the club through his sons and his grandchildren. The Lovells are absolutely instrumental to Fife Flyers history. And you've got Bert Smith and Jimmy Mitchell, the very first local boys ever to play with the Flyers. because they were all import based then. Kenny Horn, again, another one that his family links to the club are absolutely fundamental. To go back to his father was rink manager. He played at a very high level. Kyle's now playing at a very high level. Their contribution to rink over decades it's just remarkable. Stephen King, again, a one-man club, outstanding player. You won't see anyone with better hand-eye coordination. His goals and his assists are worth their weight in gold to that club's history, and that gives you a really strong top 10. And that's before you even look at folk like Joe McIntosh and Jack Dryborough, and you could go on and on. These guys have what they've done for this club and this town is just astonishing. So in our way is to, in effect, honour them as part of the Greatest 75. Is our way of saying thank you on behalf of the town and all the fans. What makes a Flyers legend? Initially we sat down and looked at stats, number of games played, number of goals. That gives you some idea of his contribution. But it's also what they contribute to the club, how they play the game. Fife Flyers, I think, have always gone for high calibre players. You look at the imports they bring in, from this day all the way back to the decades. They are smart, they're intelligent, university educated, really switched on guys. They're outstanding with the fans. So a guy like Steve Moria, who only played one season, is still highly regarded around here because of what he did in that one season. Fred Perlini played 2 seasons. People who watched their hockey in the Heineken era, Fred is still he's got the star quality. The imports are the stars, the guys that the strange accents, or they dress differently, but they've got a star quality that you can't buy. And what makes a good Fife Flyers player is a guy that, he plays for the jersey. He understands what hockey means to this town. It's not just a sport. If you're involved in ice hockey around here, if you're into ice hockey, if you're a fan, a volunteer, or you get involved writing for the programme, whatever it is you do, it becomes a huge part of your life. And somebody like Todd Dutain is a great example of somebody who came across here, and he just gets instantly the bond between the town and the team. So all of these factors make up a genuine Flyers legend. They're all different. Some were great goal scorers, some were outstanding defencemen, some were top-rate goalies, and guys like Jack Dryborough, who never actually played for Fife Flyers, and yet it would be unthinkable to celebrate 75 great hockey legends without Jack's role as a rink manager and a coach. He was a man that brought the plumb line to the UK along with the late John Haig, and he was also the man that gave us the 3 world-class Czechs, Milan Figala, Vincent Lukáš and Jindřich Kocherman. And for that one season alone, to watch what they did with the puck was a masterclass every Saturday night. And Flyers didn't win anything that year, but the levels of skill they brought was just astounding. So, Flyers legends come in all different shapes and sizes, as well as characters as well. But they have all got an appreciation of what it means to play hockey in this town. Oh yeah, look at a guy like Kyle Horn, who I remember Kyle making his debut aged about 16 perhaps, as part of the team around about 1996. He's gone on, he's playing a professional hockey career, great defenceman, solid, no hassle, nothing seems to faze him. He's probably, anywhere laid back he'd be skating horizontally, and yet he does a fantastic job day in, day out, every shift, every training session. He just gets on with the job. You ask any players in the dressing room, he's one of the most solid guys you'll ever meet. Heck of a nice guy as well. Todd Dutain, I think. Todd, I'm almost certain, without fear of contradiction, is the longest serving import in the history of Fife Flyers. I think it's 15 years he's been here now. He first played against Fife Flyers with Swindon Ice Lords, and it's one of those classic things where you watch a player beating you and thinking, he's good. We'll have him in our time. And Mark Morrison brought him up when Telford ran into various financial problems. Came up mid-season. I think he won 3 Man of the Match awards straight away, scored a wheen of goals, and never looked back. Outstanding player, a quality guy off the ice. He's the work he does off the ice with the fans, speaking to them, just chatting to them. Always got time for you. I don't think Todd's ever refused an interview request in all the years I've known him. He's worked incredibly hard through coaching. Now he's coaching at the highest level. That's a huge challenge as well. It brings new pressures. You're under an intense focus of 2,000 fans on a Saturday night. But he accepts all that. He's absolutely a worthy legend in Fife Flyers, and his career. And he talked to Todd about what Fife Flyers means to him, what this town means to him, and he gets it. Simple as that. He really. It's as close to home as you will ever get when you're 6,000 miles from where home is. And that says a lot about the town as well. It's a two-way thing. You know, they've really taken to guys like Todd because they're approachable, great guys to talk to, fantastic to watch on the ice. And you know, there's a common goal where you celebrate every season, whether it's a silverware or a big win, or it's a great big brawl some nights. You just come back and say, you're all part of it. And the guys like Todd and Kyle, fantastic legends. And I look forward to seeing how they do over the next few years as well. Yeah, we've had great feedback on the Flyer 75, I must admit. I mean, people have really enjoyed reading the profiles. I hope it brings a lot of memories back of great players. Not everybody agrees with the full 75, but it's a very, very subjective thing. But I hope it's got them talking. I think by and large they've agreed with the majority of the selections. One or two they might push higher, one or two they might move down a bit. But again, that's all very much when you watched your hockey, who your own heroes were. We would certainly welcome feedback as well from all fans. Who are your own legends? Who's the one man you'd have put at number one? Who'd be your top 10? So either do it through the Fife Free Press Facebook page, the Fife Flyers Facebook page, and of course Twitter as well is a fantastic medium for debate. And so I've really appreciated all the feedback we've had. It's been really, really positive. Even the guys that didn't make it, which you have to say sorry, but there were 140. 140 does not go into 75. I'm also hoping that this is now the start of us celebrating the history. We're going to now move on and celebrate and profile these 7 families who sit at the very, very heart of the club. So over the coming weeks in the Fife Free Press, you'll see features on them, fairly in depth, lots of old pictures, because we want to again acknowledge their links to the club, which go right back to 1938. Not just in playing, but in coaching, managing, off ice. Their contribution is absolutely beyond calculation. And I hope ultimately that it does lead to a Hall of Fame. It's something we've talked about as part of the anniversary team that put together the show back in October. Is can we stage a Hall of Fame event for Fife Flyers in the way that we do for Wraith Rovers? We've done 2 now at the Adamsmith Theatre. Both have been sold out. Stunning nights. Guys like Gordon Strachan coming up, with Liam Brady coming up, Graham Souness coming up, really big names in football. This year's show in November 2014 is already sold out completely, and we're working on something quite special for that. I would love to create an event similar for the Fife Flyers, taking together a small team of organisers and saying how do we celebrate this history and bring it alive on a live show. So the challenge now is let's do it.